Today you are going to be working on pages 21 and 22 in your SAB, and I'm going to go ahead and do some practice problems with you so that you have a good review. So let's go ahead and zoom in and let's look at number 4 together. So if you have not already, go ahead and pause, get out your SAB, and turn to page 21. So we have 6 and 2/3 and 4 and 3/4. And I think best practice is to add your fractions first. So we're going to add 2/3 plus 3/4. Now I look at my denominators, and right now I have 3 and 4, and that does not match. So we want to find a way for them to match. So there's 2 ways that I think are the easiest to solve when adding fractions. The easiest way or easiest trick is to multiply the bottom 2 numbers. 3 times 4 is 12. And then you're going to kind of use the butterfly method and multiply diagonal. 2 times 4 is 8. And 3 times 3 is 9. So when we add them right away, our denominator is down here, which is 12. And then we're going to add 8 plus 9, which will give us 17. So we have 17 twelfths. So that's one way that we could do it. Another way that you can solve, let me erase this so we have some room for adding fractions, is to find your common denominator. So we have 2/3 and we have 3/4, and we want to try and get them to match. So I think of my multiples of 3 and my multiples of 4, and we are going to try and find our lowest common multiple. But if you know your facts, you can just multiply them by the opposite. So I'm going to multiply 2/3 times 4, because that's my opposite denominator. Whatever you do to the top, you need to do to the bottom. So opposite of 4 is 3, so we're going to multiply by 3. So I just multiplied the denominator by the opposite denominator. So 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 3 is 9. And 4 times 3 is 12. And now my denominators match and I can add them together. So 8 plus 9 is 17, and I would get 17 twelfths once again. So I've added my fractions, and I have come up with that when I add my 2/3 and 3/4, that I get the answer, let me get this erased, of 17 twelfths. And I hope you're thinking, well, that's an improper fraction, meaning my top number is bigger than my denominator. So we need to turn that into a mixed number. So you think, or you divide, how many times can 12 go into 17? And it can actually only go in one time, because if I went in twice, it'd be 24, which is bigger than 17. So it can go in one whole time. So 1 is my whole. So I'm going to subtract 1 times 12 is 12. And I will have 5 left over. So I will have 1 whole, and then I would have 5 twelfths left over. So that was just adding my fractions. So I now need to add that to my whole numbers. So I have 6 plus 4 is 10. And I'm going to go ahead and add my 1 and 5 twelfths. So I would get 11 and 5 twelfths as my answer. So the next one that I want to look at before I let you finish the rest is number 9, because number 9 is subtracting, but it's also you have to regroup your whole number fraction, your mixed number. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So we have 7 and 1/8 minus 4 and 5 twelfths. So again, let's look at our fractions first. We have 1/8 minus 5 twelfths. Now, when you think of subtraction, you know that you cannot take away 5 from 1 because 5 is bigger. So we have to be able to regroup because we do have a 7 from down here. We have a whole number. There's a few ways that you can do this. First way that I'll show you is we're going to borrow from our 7, just like we would, and we will write, it will become a 6, and the unit we're in is in eighths. So I could write 6 and 8/8. And that still equals 7 because remember, 8/8 actually equals 1, and 6 plus 1 is 7. And then you could go ahead and add your 1/8. So you'd have 6 and 8/8 plus 1/8 would equal 6 and 9/8. And then we could subtract. But we also need to, another way is that you could borrow from your 6 again. So I'll just start over. Borrow from your 6 again. And then you know your denominator is 8. And if you add these two numbers together, 8 plus 1, you get 9. And you could just go ahead and write 9/8. So it's a quicker way. Instead of writing out 8/8 and adding, you can always add your denominator and your numerator, and that will tell you how many 8s you'll actually have. So now we have 6 and 9/8, and we're subtracting 4 and 5/12 still. But what do you notice about your denominators? I'm hoping that you're noticing that they're not the same. So we need to find a way to either make them the same so that we can subtract them. Okay, so we'll go ahead and rewrite this. I just took it away so we would have some more room. So if you remember, we already changed our 7 and 1/8 to 6 and 9/8 minus 4 and 5/12. But we still need to subtract our fractions. And right now our denominators, remember, don't match. So I want to find my lowest common multiple. I don't want to multiply and do my butterfly trick because I'll have a really, really high number and then I'll have to simplify. And I want to work with my lowest terms. So my lowest common multiple. So if you don't remember how to do that, you list out your denominators and you just start writing your multiples. So we have 8, 16, 24, 32, and so on. And then 12, my multiple of 12. So 12, 24. So right away, I find my LCM, which is 24. So I'm going to multiply my fractions so that I can get to 24. So 9/8. We're going to multiply the top and the bottom by the same number, and I'm trying to get to 24. So I need to think 8 times what is 24? And you already listed out your multiples. So 1, 2, 3. We're going to multiply it by 3. So whatever we do to the bottom, we do to the top. 9 times 3 is 27. So I've changed that one. Now I need to change my 5/12. So 5/12. And remember, we are trying to get a denominator of 24. So 12 times 2. So 5 times 2 is 10. So now I have 27. 9/8 is now 27/4. 27/24 minus 5/12 is now 10/24. And now I get to subtract. 27 minus 10 is going to be 17/24, which is great because I know that I cannot simplify because 17 is a prime number, meaning nothing else can go into it but 1 and 17. So now I can finally subtract my whole numbers. So I have 6 minus 4, because remember we borrowed from our 7, so our 7 is now a 6, and that would be 2. So I need to put it all together. So my answer would be 2 and 17/24. That's super messy, so I'm going to rewrite that so you can see it, and it will be a little bit better. So we have our final fraction, which we said was 17/24, and we have our whole number, which is 2. So 2 and 17/24. Now go ahead and finish the whole page, and if you have any questions, please let me know.